Chapter 12. There was no help for it, Philip has since told me. He simply had to tell her everything. She was, in fact, in possession of the whole story long before any of the rest of us. But even she had to wait yet a little longer. When, at 9:30 that Monday night her taxi drew up at the wrought iron gate in Lenox Street, Philip was out and the place was in darkness. She had no key. "Go on to Oakley Street," she ordered the driver. Audrey Cunningham was at home. Molly found her, alone, in her first-floor bed sitting room, already on the point of going to bed. "First of all, give me a cup of cocoa or something," was Molly's greeting. "I've been half the day in the train with only a few sandwiches, and I shall drop if I don't have something." Mrs. Cunningham lighted the little gas ring and fetched water from an adjoining room. Then, opening a little cupboard, she mixed cocoa, paste in a cup, got out bread and margarine and a plate of macaroons, and set them on a little chintz-covered stool before Molly. "I've an egg if you'd like one," she said. "No, thanks. I got your letter this morning. Have you got the one I wrote yesterday?" "No, but I don't think the last post's been yet." "Well, it doesn't matter now. I've come to see for myself. Philip doesn't know I'm here yet, but he will presently. Now, first of all, what's all this about you and Monty? What's happening?" Her tone was that of a woman who intended to stand no further nonsense of any kind. She was dog-tired, already angry on Joan's account, and the resigned and hopeless air of the slender creature before her completed her resolve to get to the bottom of things. But nothing appeared to be happening about Audrey and Monty. Mrs. Cunningham was still of the same mind, or no mind, that had prompted her letter. "Where is he now?" Molly demanded. Audrey did not know. "Is he with Philip?" She did not know that either. "And aren't you going to Lenox Street?" "I don't think I can." Molly's eyes went round the room. "I myself have never been in Mrs. Cunningham's bed-sitter, but I have been in many others and can picture its frugality: the gas ring, the little cupboard with the bread and jar of marmalade in it, the chintz-covered grocer's box on which Molly's cup of cocoa stood, probably a slightly fresher wallpaper pattern where the Jacobean wardrobe had stood. Lenox Street was positive luxury by comparison, yet here was Audrey preferring this. Then there was Audrey herself, heavy-eyed, drained of energy, probably thinking of George Cunningham and wondering whether any experience was worth repeating. With Joan for breakfast and Audrey for supper, poor Molly had had about enough of it for one day. "About this marriage," she said abruptly. "Of course, it's not going to be put off. I shall see to that. I shall have a talk with Monty too when I've finished with Philip. You're simply run down and want a tonic." "Oh, it isn't that," Audrey replied, sinking into an old wicker chair. "I've thought it all over. I don't think they tell young girls enough before they get married. They ought to tell them lots more. They ought to tell them quite plainly, you'll have to be prepared for this and that and the other. You'll have to expect to sit up half the night in the dining room with dinner on the table wondering where he is. You'll have to learn that he hasn't really been run over or anything of that kind and that it's only their way. You must expect telegrams and telephone calls and excuses, and you mustn't be surprised if he brings somebody else with him when he does come. They're like that. And when they come home in a beastly state." Here Molly peremptorily interrupted her. "Leave that brute in his grave," she commanded. "We're talking about Monty, not him. And I'll see Monty. Now what's all this rigmarole about milkmen and cellars and all the rest of it? Tell me as I undress you. I'm going to put you to bed." But little that was fresh was to be learned here either. Audrey thanked her again and again for the offer of the house, but she thought she would rather be here with her gas ring and cocoa and chintz-covered sugar box. Mrs. Cook thought she could arrange it would only be half a crown more. "Well, I'll see Mrs. Cook too while I'm about it, may as well do the thing thoroughly. Let me unlace your boots, why, your feet are cold, and on a night like this. Never mind your hair, you can do it in bed. And drink the rest of this cocoa. Really, I do think I live in a helpless sort of world, there isn't enough of me to go round, there ought to be half a dozen of me. Now into bed with you, and you'd better stay there till I come round in the morning. I'm not going back till Wednesday." She packed up the cocoa cups and turned off the gas ring, opened the window and wound up the little Swiss clock. As she moved about the room folding Audrey's clothes and setting things to rights, her own letter of Sunday morning was brought up, but she placed it on the mantelpiece by the side of the clock, forbidding Audrey to read it till the morning. Letters didn't matter now that she was here in her own capable, practical person. Letters took too long. She was going to have things done much more quickly or know the reason why.